Malrong has played, 3 of his 4 games so far this season on the Rumble. It's been by far his best champion. His Volibear, which he played a very similar style to Clids, and also to how he's played his Rumble, where he camps lanes and takes long paths and hides and brushes. Worked out pretty well. Love to see the set priority here in this second series. Very high up here. And very likely will go to Lava as we see Xin Zhao coming through now. And this may force a bit of a change here in the draft for Damwon Kia. Now, this is usually used against something like a Nocturne, a Kali, and Diana. But actually, in this case, Nocturne's banned. Rumble's the jungle pick, so we're not going to be seeing any of that heavy dive. Akali also banned, so this is kind of a statement pick here for Fredit Brion. Like, we're going to play this no matter what.
And yeah, exactly. And they've been listening to the global cast here at the LCK. And take a look at the follow-up picks from Damwon Kia. They're immediately like, okay, what can kite? What can have range advantage on you? Ezreal comes out, Gnar comes out. The ability to kite people out until Mega Gnar and then jump right in when the timing is correct. Kind of like what DK have picked in response to Bro's first couple of picks.
The Kalista pick here I do really like into the Ezreal. And there's a lot of bans you want to pull out here as Damwon Kia, but you don't have the opportunity to do all of them. Like, Lulu is something to look at, but also the Alistar is something that pairs really well with the Kalista, but it could be Set that's going to be support here with the Kalista. Alistar is actually banned by Fredit Brion, so that's no longer on the cards, but Jace, something to consider here too. With the Sylas, those are the 2 strongest bans that we usually see when Gnar is picked in first rotation like this. So that's where I expect that second ban to go for Damwon Kia as the Jace. But it does leave a lot of opportunities here for Fredit Brion in terms of their support picks. And Karma, it feels like a bit of a no-brainer ban here, but they'll take away the Leona instead.
Yeah, the Alistar, I understood. Leona, a little bit interesting, maybe more targeting towards Beryl. As you mentioned, they're looking to target out support specifically. Lulu is going to be the follow-up here. That makes a lot of sense with the Xin Zhao, the set, all of this synergy that they do have alongside of that pick.
But it means that Jace is left open, and that's a very strong pick into the Gnar here for Hoya. Very easy to just flex the set pick mid. However, as I was talking about before, you can also still play him as a support. With the Azir coming through here, that's still an opportunity. As Ryze has really jumped up in priority a lot here in Korea these last 2 weeks. Will actually be the choice here for Canyon in mid. And Beryl, with some of his strongest and more popular champions removed, looks like it's going to go to the next best thing on his tier list, which will be the Nautilus.
Yeah. And it's definitely great follow-up on the potential engage and the bit of wombo combo that you have with the Rumble as well, but also the Ryze, we talked about this in the last series, is very good into champions that are going to be running straight at you or need to keep you in short range, because Ryze's spells are relatively short range. I really do like that Azir pick, though. I think that kind of adds, range. You can kind of shore that up and also can get into the thick of things with the composition that they have already.
Playing Gwyn into Khan on the Gnar feels very bold. The Jace felt like a lot more safe and simple to play in the top lane for Hoya. Khan is Hoya's role model, by the way. He said this in several interviews. He says that, Khan is kind of one of the players that inspired him to be a top laner, one of the players that really makes him feel like he's got a unique play style that the players should look up to. And now he's chosen a really not easy matchup, actually, with the Gwen. Gnar is very mobile, can also chip away with his boomerang, so could have picked the Jace and really zoned him out. He hovered the Gangplank, which is another strong option to the Gnar, but instead just wants to have a little bit more side lane control to keep this game kind of extended. Wow. I do want to point out, we have a lot of Lava fans in the video tonight. I noticed like 3 when I was walking up here, and I'm like, wow, Lava's not a player that had a whole lot of fans in spring season, but he is really jumped up.
They were just waiting until he had his big moments, and then they're like, okay, now we can come out of the woodwork. There were so many of them. And it helps that, of course, guys, if you didn't see the first series, we have extra audience in here today because we're slowly opening things up from 10% to 20% capacity as we do take a look at this draft from DK.
Yeah, now, I guess we always have to say the Showmaker will, of course, be playing bottom. This is not mid Ezreal, this is not jungle Ryze. We do have role swaps here.
What?
In terms of the lane prio,
not jungle Ryze.
It's not going to be easy for Hoya on the top lane, but it is a winnable matchup. And if you do end up getting a really early kill, that can be one of the matchups you snowball. Obviously, Kallista's set is going to be so strong into the Ezreal lane early on, so Fredit Brion do have some opportunities to get ahead early with this draft, utilize the CC they have, and then split up into a little bit of side lane control. We can 1-3-1 a little bit against what Damwon Kia are running, because they don't have a really high mobility punish type champion that's going to go down and kill Lava in the side lane, so Azir will even be able to somewhat freely side lane this game. Went for the comment that we see all the time nowadays. Into the Rise. Will be fun to see how Canyon performs, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're just tuning in, Canyon said he respects Lava a lot. He feels like if he doesn't have a winning matchup, it's going to be a really hard game. And this one not as clear-cut as some of the other Azir matchups that he wins.
Yeah,
but
I think this is just going to be a farm fest in the mid lane.
Yeah.
I don't think Canyon's going to be making any big moves. I don't think that... I mean, Lava can absolutely get some work done, especially if Umpty is around, and especially after level 6. But Ryan's have some pretty awesome wave clear, especially at those levels, so maybe you can just kind of avoid the lane entirely, try to farm up, and go ahead with that. So maybe it just doesn't even have to interact with the Azir. Really do like this Azir pick, though. I feel like it rounds out their draft really nicely, and Lava is a great Azir player, so overall, big fan.
Yeah. Hoya is being extremely aggressive, actually, in this lane, zoning Khan out at level 1. This will get harder, of course, later on, but do take your E first. You have a little bit of extra mobility, get a little bit of extra attack speed.
This is quite annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's good to see. As
look at this.
Yeah, he's getting in there again. Hoya, before this game, we had him on camera. He did look a little bit nervous, and we always wondered, like, what is going on with Hoya? Because he has always placed very highly in solo queue. He's obviously a very strong mechanical player. But when you come into big games, especially against other top laners, he always seems to flop. Like, he got absolutely mauled by Keen in, I think it was the first matchup that we had. And we were just like, man, this is just not easy to watch. And I was a little bit worried for him coming into this matchup, because Khan is also another one of these very dominant, aggressive top laners that can really take over a lane. But it's good to see that so far he's not really backing down. He's using the tools that, of course, Gwen does have in her kit, as we got a big trade coming in here. Kind of going to miss on that one.
Malrong is here. He's baiting this super hard.
And there it is. The flash comes in. The harpoon is going to land. Is he in range? Yes, he is. First blood. Given over to Malrong, level 3 on the Rumble. Gets in there and picks up the kill.
I mean, it's Malrong. You have to expect he's hiding in every brush around you every time. It was super well played, though, by Canyon. Like, he sold the idea extremely well. If the League of Legends thing doesn't work out, man, he could be door to door.
There you go. As Shomik is getting jumped on here, he tries to flash away. The heal is attempting to keep him alive, but it will not. Somehow Henna gets aggro, but it doesn't matter because the dive is in fact successful, and they take down Shomik.
Yeah, this is an amazing start here. The bottom lane, you always want to have that prio threatening the Ezreal, but they're able to roam down and make this kill happen, or rather Umpty's able to come down for the gank. Because Malrong had just spent all of his resources mid and then has to go clear his own jungle, so ends up being a 1-for-1 on the map. First blood gold going to be pretty significant going over to Malrong, and this is how Malrong likes to play the game. He doesn't like to farm the jungle very much. So the style we're seeing from a few junglers in the LCK right now, notably Klid, Malrong, and of course we saw last game Dread, where you don't really play farming jungle even if you have a quick clear champion. You actually instead just spend a lot of time ganking and trying to snowball your lanes that way.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have certain lanes. You were talking about seeing a lot of Ryze nowadays. Ryze definitely a champion with great gank assists, and generally not at this point. I mean, you can still do the combo, but really it's all about the bait, as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, you can see that Malrong is rotating up. Canyon has an extended trade. And you can actually tell by the comms, this wasn't extremely well coordinated in terms of communication. It was just a read from Malrong, came up and punished. Like, they did not call for this, he's just reading the map. It's just that basic. As this is not going to be the first person read here on this one, but a lot of damage output in this lane between the Kalista and the set. Umpty comes down for a little bit of extra secure there. Very basic trade back. Yeah, that was one of those moves where I thought we'd have like the sick, almost, anime plot line of like baiting in terms of the comms, but actually like not a word was shared. Which is very unusual.
It's possible that he was calling him over earlier and we just didn't get those on the comms, but as you mentioned, it was very much just like Canyon going for trades. He missed the skill shot and he was like, oh crap. But then it was just the cleanup that did come in. Marong is spotted here, so immediately Henan delayed stop trading, they back away. And it's really cool to see how aggressive Canyon is being in that mid lane as well. I was talking about how this is mostly going to be a farm lane, but Canyon is making it his duty, his job to basically put on as much pressure as possible in terms of trading.
Now look at the top side too. I mean, we talked about some of these solo lane matchups. We talked about how it was going to be a little bit tougher for Hoya. He made the best of his early game, but now that Gnar has hit level 6, you can't play that game anymore. You can't tease, you can't threaten, you're not going to be able to look for trades. If you do trade extended against Gnar, he will kill you, especially if he has his Gnar bar available, as Khan does right now. Like, you just can't even be near him. And that's just how it goes. So this matchup now is kind of like, well, could have been the Jace, right? Could have seen a little bit more control over the side of the map, but he's going to focus more on that strong split pushing side of the Gwen here and some of the what she's going to offer in later on team fights versus a Rumble instead of actually looking for the win in lane.
Canyon is so annoying to lane against. This is not something you see very often. I mean, even Toby's the type of player that he will highlight CS over everything, right? He'll take good trades. Don't get me wrong, he will get aggressive at times, but like Canyon is basically just like, I only trade. I will get the CS if I can. But first and foremost, let me stand behind the enemy ranged minions and take aggressive trades, and then I'll try to CS. Like, look at his positioning. He has no fear. He's playing exactly to where Malrong is. His positioning has been good. His understanding of the lane has been great.
Malrong is, oh man, he's going all the way around.
So stupid. It's great to see. Don't get me wrong. It's just he is getting pretty crazy.
Malrong might actually have to join if this keeps happening, or if this is extended, but not going to happen. Gets a flash.
It's one of those trades that, you know, as the Azir, generally you would be happy. It's like, okay, ult for flash. Next time I get my ult up, he's not going to have his flash up. That's going to be a good trade in terms of time. But at the same time, Canyon's just so aggressive that it's like, okay, I survived. And that's actually more valuable than anything else right now. Hoya doesn't seem like he knew he was even up here, and that's going to be an easy kill onto him as Canyon is making the Rift his alone.
The vision was cleared on the top side of the red jungle very early on, and they had a control ward, and only now you see that coming over and being cleared by Delight. But in the moments prior to that, you didn't know exactly where Canyon was going to be. You knew he had the long wraparound onto lava, but that vision was completely removed. There wasn't any warding there whatsoever, so can't blame Hoya too much for that in terms of knowing that he was there, because there just was no way for him to know. But if he had played a little bit safer, he might have been able to avoid this. Either way, it's a really, really, really rough lane for the Gwen, and now it's even harder, right? You know, she does end up going down here. Malrong is getting a little bit fed. So, Fredit Brion trying to see if they can maybe get both objectives here in the interim with the reset. And it looks like they're going to get away with this.
Yeah, I mean, they rotated their entire bot lane up, whereas Showmaker, he's been feeling a bit of the pressure down on the bottom side, especially after the dive, so he just sits back down there. He's going to just farm it out.
Oh, it's a Malrong move, but there's a ward for this one. Oh, okay, no, he's going to see it.
Right on the ward, Malrong will just clear that out. Hoya's like, why do you guys have to bully me every single time I play the game? As it seems very common that this has happened to Hoya.
Yeah. With Khan having Demolish here too, it's just very frustrating when you have to sit under a turret like this. No, you can't trade back. No, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And Showmaker gets a lot of free farm down here in a tough matchup too. He went for a cull, so he's just playing very safe because he knows the whole game plan for Ezreal is just survive till you get your items up, right? And he's got a few pieces coming along here as we're going to watch this Canyon gank one more time. Khan's in Mega Gnar. Comet doesn't land, but he gets the root, and then Khan's able to just come in here, knock him into the wall. Easy as that. He just doesn't know. And even if he does know, like, he's going to lose so... I mean, if he had the idea, like, this might happen, if he leaves and it doesn't happen, he loses so much CS. Like, it's a lose-lose situation for Hoya there. You got to feel for him. He's a flashless Gwen, you know, like...
And that's why you were mentioning maybe you go for something a little bit stronger in the lane, but so far this This has not been very fun for him. He's down 1,000 gold. And you can see Barrel's doing his best, trying to clear vision and get vision in their own jungle so that they don't get dived. Unfortunately, I mean, Umpty just being here is enough, and it is going to push them off of the turret as Khan doesn't have Meganar. He is getting a lot of plates, but you would expect the first turret blood to go down in the bottom lane, as here it does go.
Oh, meanwhile, Hoya's looking for the all-in.
And you know, this needle's nearly landing. He is going to push him up, but here comes the rotation, and it's a rise, so good luck getting away from this, Hoya. Yeah, very unfortunate. He doesn't have anything else, and he will go down.
That's going to be the turret, too. So even though bottom turret and all the plates do go over to Fredit Brion, and they do get first brick, it's going to be traded back. So the first brick gold going to be a little bit neutralized here by the fact that this is going to be a kill on top of the full turret. Delight does come up, actually, in fact, so it's not going to be the turret right now. It will be eventually, but you do see the lane swap coming through. I actually really like this a lot for Fredit Brion because you're going to relieve some of that top pressure. You're actually the ones to get here first, so it forces a reaction. A lot of lost time here, actually, for Khan. When he does swap back down, Showmaker gets to farm up the last bits of those minions bottom side, too. So when you think about what Kallista's value is going to be early on in the lane, sure, she got an assist there. She did get prio. She gave a lot of control on the bottom side of the map. But Ezreal is still very much right on her heels in this game, and he's going to be way more valuable in those late game team fights than she will, just because he has more consistent poke and more consistent damage output, plus the mobility that Ezreal has. So handled well here by Damwon Kia, but I like the lane swap for just a moment there anyways. They're going to group up now for the Drake.
And, you know, even though some of these lanes are a bit of a disaster for Fredit Brion, they also got the first Herald, the first Drake, looking like the second Drake here. There's no competition being done over that one. That's going to go the way of Zhao there. As we're going to take another look at this trade, see how it all opens up.
Yep. Third needles there. Not enough to finish off Khan. And then Realm Warp from, you know, downtown. She's stuck between the turret and the wall, which means it's impossible to miss the equalizer. And Marong finishes off the kill. This is just going to be the comms for the call to Realm
내
Warp.
궁타고 가던가. 그냥 딸 박자. 빨리 하자.
Just hurry, like, let's kill him as soon as possible. Like, what we're highlighting here is that he's basically just like waste as little time as possible while we kill him, because there's no question that we kill him. It's just how quickly we do it.
And we didn't get the comms like right before that started again. I wanted to see, was there any call from Khan? You know, where was the communication? Was it just Canyon noticing that Khan was getting engaged on getting all in, essentially, and that's what opens up the potential for the rotation?
Yeah.
Or was it, you know, Khan calling for it?
I'm not 100% sure, but it is possible that in these first-person comms, the rest of the audio from the rest of the team is muted, in fact, and we only get the audio from that player, which would actually explain a lot. Try to get confirmation of that later.
It seems like that's the way it is.
Yeah, I just thought about that in the last one where we said it was silent, because that would be crazy, right, if that was actually the case. And then in this one, it kind of...
Probably Malrong is screaming, like, I'm going! Like, we just don't hear it at all.
We're like, yeah, a little bit quiet on the call.
Yeah. As we get the first blood. Strange.
Well, like you said, the objective control has been pretty good here for Fredit Brion. Their Drake percentage is going up. That is definitely one of their strong points, is how many Drakes they do get in these games. We've seen Fredit Brion go 4-0 and lose the game, so it hasn't always, you know, contributed to victories, even when they do have Drake control. But very good start for them in that regard. Is okay, Lava. That's not turret shot he was hoping to take. It was a bit of a mistake there. Well, this is what I was talking about with the Azir. In this game, you're very free to side lane aggressively, actually, because there's not a great punish champion that can hound you down very quickly. You don't have like a Camille who's going to zip over the wall and blow you up, or an Akali who's going to come and 100-0 you from a long distance away. As long as you have a little bit of vision, you can go all the way to that top turret, in fact. So that's a big boon for Azir in this game, where you're a little bit behind in gold, but you can catch up very quickly when you do get that free side laning.
Some interesting itemization. We have the Wit's End coming out from Henna. He's up against Ryze Rumble, so kind of makes sense. Yeah. And Ezreal, by the way, so...
Magic resistance, pretty big.
Yeah, you're going to like it in this game. So, skipping over the mythic item for now. But we'll see what else he does build into.
So maybe a Rage Blade on the way next year, and might actually finish things off with the Immortal Shield Bow. The end.
most likely.
And it's kind of leans into actually having a little bit more power in these skirmishes safely.
Okay, trying to get on top of Beryl, who just walks into the brush here. He is able to get that aftershock up, but here's the set engage, and the stopwatch buys so much time for Beryl, as the teleport will be baited out here from Lava, trying to get into the fight.
Yep, ends up being nobody dies, but a pretty successful trade for Fredit Brion. They're going to push this mid wave out. Drake's not up for 90 seconds here. The Rift Herald, however, is up, so Damwon Kia really have to stick around here. It's really unfortunate that Beryl actually has to back at this really critical timing because he got so low.
Oh, however, going in, and where have we seen this before onto the set? It looks like this time, maybe he dies. Nope. Maybe just another moment where people get baited in by set. How many times have we seen this happen? At least he does go down. Now Khan's trying to get in 1v4, and he does have an Ezreal behind him, but he's not quite close enough to put in the damage. Canyon is up on the top side of the map, just gonna ult up to the wave, as now with the, I mean, there's no dragon, but Bro just gonna be happy with what they got.
Yeah, Fredit Brion are gonna have to reset here. Umpty is very, very low, so they're gonna have to back, and this gives a huge opportunity for Damwon Kia to get into better position here, and now they can actually group up. As we watch this one more time, like you said, the set being, you know, it's going to end up absorbing a lot of this aggro here. Delight does turn around. It's a beautiful stopwatch here from Malrong. Showmaker flashes forward. Delight is going to get burned down by that equalizer damage, I believe it was. Really nice over the wall here from Showmaker. I think it was just his, actually no, it was his flash that he used to go through. He already used his shift. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's a better trade for Fredit Brion, but because they reset, it may cost them. So the Drake's not quite spawned yet. So we are going to have that straight up 5v5 team fight for what it looks like here. And this is a fight that Damwon Kia cannot afford to give up. They gave up the first two Drakes without any contest, but this one you just cannot let go. It's going to give Fredit Brion sole point. They have almost all of their ultimates online. The Realm Warp really not that critical for this one since they're already here.
A lot of summoners down for DK as we're getting the engage once again. Equalizer does come in. Malrong will survive, but Beryl will not have the same fate as the Gnar is taken out, and he can't find a good angle for his ultimate. That's going to be Fredit Brion taking the support down and taking the advantage at this moment in time.
Beryl, you know, I mean, we criticize a lot of his laning, but some of his weakest moments in MSI were positional mistakes. And in this case, again, he's trying to find a greedy pull to maybe set up the team fight for Damwon Kia. They know the Lava, you know, probably still didn't have his Dimper's Divide online, so you have this really tiny window where maybe you can pull this off. But the engage tools and the CC for Fredit Brion are so good that if you don't make that happen, or if your team is just a little bit off in terms of where their positioning is to set up for that play, you're going to get punished for it. You know, last time he had to back, he almost died. This time he actually pays for it with his life. But at least trade objectives for this. The Rift Herald will go over to Malrong. But Fredit Brion get what's way more important than the second Rift Herald is soul point. So I think they're definitely very happy with how things are going in this game at this stage.
Absolutely. Damwon get the consolation prize.
Yeah.
The participation award, basically. And, you know, they can use that to take down the mid-tier one. It's not terrible. But
look at where Beryl is right now, clearing this ward. He's going to end up eating a lot of damage. Now he rotates back in, and he goes for the hook. But, like, there's so much lockdown and so much burst damage on the side of Fredit Brion that once he's gone, once he's punished, like, and as you mentioned, Malrong is basically dead too in the early part of this fight, before this even really begins. You can't really do anything. Bye-bye.
No Gnar for you.
Delight with the heroic play there. I was pretty tunnel visioned on Beryl, but that was actually a pretty amazing moment there.
Yeah. No, I mean, how many times have you seen players just, they see the set and they just get so angry? I don't know why.
Yeah, it's
they
like people
have
think
to engage onto him.
People think set's squishy or something. They're like, no, let's kill this guy real quick. He's out of position.
Especially support set. It's like, oh, he probably doesn't have that many items. Doesn't really matter. He has a lot of effective health with his abilities.
Yeah, his base, you know, armor in health is very high. Not to mention the shielding that you mentioned from the Haymaker, Grit, all of these things. Definitely a bad guy to focus on, unfortunately. Damwon Kia are by no means really in control of this game. They have a little bit of a gold lead. They're down 3 Drakes. You know, we're watching an Azir kill a turret on the side lane for free because There's no threats as Humpty here going to try to maybe collapse on Malrong. He's clearing this wave with the equalizer. He'll be fine.
I like the proto belt. Tenna's direction does a speck of damage, but
at least
wasn't going to use that to clear the wave anyway, so might as well.
Yeah, at least you know, Canyon was able to push bottom a little bit, but the wave's being caught from Hoya, and the gold lead is falling very, very quickly here. Damwon Kia have a scaling Ezreal, have a scaling Ryze, and Malrong's going to scale fine in this game because he got pretty fed early. It's actually going to be, you know, pretty good. But I think a lot of this game is going to be decided by Beryl and Khan. Their initiations have to be really good to set up that extra damage.
Yeah, it's kind of rough though. You know, you're looking at the Azir, you're looking at the set for possible disengage. I mean, we saw it in that last one. It's not always going to be that perfect, and I'm sure Khan will find his moments, but Bro definitely playing very confidently with the pieces that they have in this composition. And they've just been fine to, you know, sit here on Mountain Soul Point and take team fights if Damwon want to. They're not rushing anything.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice to see.
And also, you know, if you're Lava here too, you can kind of make the call if it feels like you're losing control of the side lanes around the Drake, or you end up losing Drake Prio, for example. Like, you're going to lose this mid turret. I mean, it's extremely low, so that's going to make it a little bit harder. You're going to say, look, I'll just sit back and farm. We have this advantage, so we don't actually need to really keep pushing the issue here. And you can rely on your scaling. Damwon Kia, you know, again, a lot of these fights are based on their initiation, so if you feel like you might actually be a little bit caught off guard, or there's a potential for Khan to get like a two-man wall up or something like that, then don't risk it. And you have that freedom now because you are 3 Drakes up to say, yeah, you can have one Mountain Drake. We'll get something else on the map.
Showmaker just farming here in the mid lane, and it kind of highlights what I was liking about Damwon's composition as well, is that it's really kind of hard if you keep Bro's comp at arm's length for them to actually engage onto you. With the Ezreal, with the Ryze, you know, you have a lot of lockdown and a lot of abilities to keep the opponents at range. And as long as Damwon do that and don't really take these kind of wonky team fights, I think they're still in a decent spot. But this next fight over the Dragon is going to be critical. Not much has happened over the last 5 minutes since Bro is able to take that one team fight and get the Dragon.
This is the moment for Damwon Kia to show that their comp can 5v5 team fight. Ezreal does not have his Frozen Heart, but you know, he's got his first 2 big items online. This is still a very strong moment for him. Ryze, Archangels is completed. This is it, do or die for Damwon. You lose this fight, you lose this 5v5, and it gets harder from here. I mean, you're going to be then fighting against Mountain Soul Shields. Canyon's clearing this ward right now. They know he's not here. He does have teleport. Fredit Brion, almost for a moment there, looked like they were going to try to collapse on him as he rotates back in, but he takes the safer path. Khan does not have his bar up, so he's trying to farm that up here right before this fight. Umpty goes in.
Oh, wow. He's just getting in there. They want to find Beryl as fast as possible. They're going to get his flash away, but he didn't use his ultimate. That's actually going to miss everybody somehow.
And Khan's Meganar now in this choke. Fredit Brion have to come in a little bit slow.
Yeah, but it is running out here. A lot of poke damage coming in from Showmaker as the equalizer will be used as well. Umpty is so low, but he has to stop once the Malrong goes down. There's no smite available now for Damwon, as Lava also going to take out Beryl. No steal will come in, and we might just see a clean ace here as Damwon are all over the place. Bro will be cleaning up. Only Showmaker will survive as the only person to keep distance from the rest of the members of Bro.
Showmaker was looking for a little bit of damage over the pit wall there, but wasn't in position to do consistent damage to actually help the end part of those eliminations. So there's just no kills here. You see the Fate's Call used actually to get a save there for Fredit Brion. And they just dominate the fight once they close the gap. You know, Narbar runs out for Khan, and it's just once again set just so difficult to take down. Such an impervious front line here. Fredit Brion not only get Mountain Soul, but at the timing of this fight, at 24 minutes, are able to grab Baron and reset. Damwon Kia losing Malrong early, like you said, means that there's just no smite here. Yeah, Umpty is low, but he's Xinjiao. He has a stopwatch. Meanwhile, look at the light. Support set, by the way. No real strong items here. Showmaker can't finish off these targets. If he's in a safer spot earlier on in the fight, instead of the greedy positioning he had over the wall there, maybe you actually finish off some of these targets who are extremely low health. But he's not able to make those eliminations happen, so he's the last man standing at the end of the fight with nothing to say for it.
Yeah, doesn't end up doing much, and This is very interesting for me to watch, you know, because the early game, when we were watching the lanes and the plays, the roams from Canyon, it was looking like, oh, this might just be a done deal. Maybe Damwon just crush another team. But Fredit Brion, they always, you know, they didn't really back down from any fights early on, and they also got so many of those early objectives that they actually didn't fall that far behind, and then they just took better fights since then. I mean, every fight since then has been on Fredit Brion's terms.
It really has, and you know, one of the criticisms we've had for Fredit Brion is they get early leads but don't know how to use them sometimes this season so far anyways. Last season it was the opposite. They were a little bit timid, but they knew how to use their leads. This game is the antithesis of our concerns. Like, they're taking their lead and snowballing it so well. They're going to force a teleport here from Canyon in the top side of the map, or back, I should say. He comes back in here, but I mean, he got some damage done on the other side of the map. Fredit Brion with this comp get a lot with this Baron buff of vision control, but aren't really able to threaten any inhibitors or bigger objectives. But that's okay, again, with this comp. They get stronger and stronger as it goes on. That's not to say that Rise doesn't here either. Showmaker is going to get his Frozen Heart here in just a moment. But him, you know, his health and his survivability wasn't the issue last fight. It was actually being able to do the damage positionally. We'll see if Damwon Kia can set up for a better fight when the next objective spawns. We're still a long way away from that, so it doesn't bode well for them. I mean, look, again, when you see an Azir pushing turrets like this, it sends a message.
You see, they're trying to pull off the shenanigans now. It's not about straight up League of Legends. Damwon are losing so many of their turrets that, okay.
Finally that goes down.
It's like all they've got at this point.
And flash, or rather teleport.
Yeah, they're just like roaming around the enemy jungle, hoping to find someone out of position. And I mean, the game isn't over, but Fredit Brion are in a great spot here. But again, we've seen this before where teams get ahead and they get Mountain Soul really early, or any soul, and then the Elder Drake spawns. And all of a sudden, you know, you make one false move in the wrong direction, and all of a sudden the enemy team gets Elder Drake, and it's like, oh boy, this game could be opened wide. So let's wait and see.
I mean, this happens a lot with Damwon too. Not to say that Damwon usually are in games with the 0 to 4 Drakes, but there have been several over the course of this year where they're down Drakes, or, you know, like 1 and 3 is the Drake control before Soul Point. They win the Soul Point fight or the Elder Drake fight because they have the better team fighting comp. And sometimes that's Damwon Kia's MO with their draft, is building a draft that scales well enough but has great initiation. And a lot of the times that's Khan, right? Whether it's the Scion, the Gnar, even in the past Ornn sometimes. And once again, they're going to rely on that miracle late game team fight. Showmaker's got his 3 items online now. And all it takes is one mistake, and Damwon Kia will win these games, right? They have done it so many times before. You know, I think for the international stage, it was a lot of people's first time watching them have to barely win against Detonation, right, from Japan. Yeah. We saw that. You and I cast that series so many games where Damwon win at the last possible second, so never count them out in a moment like this. But Fredit Brion still, you know, Pac-Manning up the whole map right now. They're not able to threaten inhibitors. Yeah. They're just looking to group for the next team fight.
Yeah, again, the game is in their hands, Fredit Brion's. It's their game to win or lose. It really comes down to how well they can close this out. So that's really what I want to focus on. You know, if they can get this kind of a lead and close out against such a great team like Damwon. So far, it's been pretty clean. And now with the Elder Drake about to spawn, they got a couple of good pushes in. They weren't able to break any inhibitors with the Baron. So they don't get any, you know, big pressure in any of the lanes to help them take this objective, but they've still got major vision control.
And that's the one thing that, okay, Barrel and Showmaker.
Here we go, looking for the engage. They're gonna find Showmaker, and there is just no hope for this guy. He's in the backline, true shot barraging into thin air, because he can't do anything else, and that is just the perfect engage they were looking for using the vision advantage they had.
I mean, they might not even need the Elder to win this game now. They're going to try to push down for more. They've got an Azir turret to fall back on here. You can see Hoya's running over. Instead of making a risky fight here to try to end the game, you could just play for Elder Drake, which is essentially the same thing. And these are the moves that you need to make if you want to use that vision control to close a game out. You know, we saw Afrika struggle to use this in that game 1 in the previous series where they had a massive lead and the vision control. Hoya, put on the side here, but he should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, group up with their team, right?
There's nobody else here.
Yeah. But no steal. That's going to be the Elder going the way of Fredit Brion at 29 minutes.
And you can now use this Elder Drake to secure Baron. The Baron ping comes down right before we have this replay come up, and this is an excellent play from Delight, using the vision control that he has. They had control over the topside river and that part of the jungle for a while. He's able to verify that there are no wards there with the sweeper on his way over. So worst case scenario, he pushes them back, and then they get mid-prio for the Elder Drake. Best case scenario, he is able to identify with the sweeper there are no wards, there's nobody else here, and I can actually make the showstopper play that will probably win us the game. So he makes that play. Now you can see the mid-prio come down. Look at the group around the Baron. Damwon Kia, we could say they're so great at late game team fights. Sometimes they pull off the miracles. They're the best team fighting team in the world. You know, arguably a lot of people will say that, but I don't know about this one, man. Like this is
not
like
in this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs. I think the Damwon Kia are going to need to win this one, and they're not even going to go for it.
Yeah, they need some big opportunities, and they need to somehow, you know, keep their mental alive after what has been a kind of unfortunate 20 minutes, let's say. And yeah, Baron and Elder here for the next minute 15. And Bro just barreling down the mid lane.
If you can't win the game here, Fredit Brion, then I guess you don't deserve it. And I think they definitely are poised to do so. This does feel a little bit like spring season Fredit Brion, the later parts of this game. Just not taking any risks. Just take all the objectives. Just win the game. Just kill the Nexus. Slow and steady wins the race. Umpty over the wall.
Yep, nice angle there. Totally going to zone them off of this turret. Not that time when we're going to make a stand of that turret, I don't think. At this point, you got to wait until the Nexus turrets. Maybe you get some kind of miraculous win.
You're hoping that Fredit Brion throw on the fountain. You're like, we're going to use the fountain to defend this push.
Yeah. Well.
Taking away those mountain shields for a second, I guess.
Yeah, for just a moment. Oh, there they are again. As here we go, Umpty is going to engage. This is Meganar in just a moment, but you can see that Elder Burn coming in. The mist as well, keeping Hoya safe, and it's just the slow and steady siege. They have the lead, they have the Azir, and I think this should just do it. Damwon gonna put in that last stand, but Balrog immediately gonna go down. Khan can't even do anything, and that is just gonna blow up everybody on the side of Damwon. Easy win, going the way of Fredit Brion here in 32 minutes as they shut down Damwon once again.
It looked like a pretty even game early on, but when Fredit Brion were unable to, or rather, they were unable to be stopped, when Damwon Kia was unable to stop them from actually getting that Drake chain together, that third Drake group up for the sole point was really the turning point, and from that moment on, where they had the third Drake in the lead,